What if I told you the coolest samurai games ever made aren't just about slicing through enemies? They're about legacy, honor, and some seriously unforgettable moments you probably missed. From brutal sword duels and supernatural powers to cinematic journeys that feel straight out of a Kurosawa film, we're diving into 15 of the greatest samurai games of all time. Let's get into it. Before we jump into today's video, quick question. You ever download a classic gem from a totally questionable site that looked like it time-traveled straight out of 2003? You know, pop-ups everywhere, weird file names, and that sinking feeling like, am I downloading a game or a virus? Yeah, me too. That's why I use NordVPN. It doesn't just keep your connection fast and encrypted, it blocks malicious websites, trackers, and protects you from malware while you're out there. How can I put this? Looking for gems. With servers in over 60 countries, you can unlock games, videos, and even sweet regional deals you'd never see otherwise. And the best part? One subscription covers up to 10 devices: PC, phone, tablet, maybe even that dusty old laptop from your emulator days. It's super easy to set up, and using my special link below, you get 73% off plus 3 extra months free. And if for some reason you're not into it, no worries. Within 30 days, you get 100% of your money back. No questions asked. So stop rolling the dice. One sketchy download or fried motherboard could cost more than 20 years of NordVPN. Click the link in the description and pinned comment right now and lock in your deal today. Nioh drops you into a dark, chaotic version of feudal Japan, where samurais clash with monsters pulled straight from ancient legends. You're not just swinging a sword here, you're surviving a war between the living and the supernatural. The first game follows William, a foreigner who dives headfirst into this madness, while the second lets you build your own warrior from scratch, adding even more depth and personalization to the ride. The real magic of Nioh is in the combat. It's fast, brutal, and incredibly technical. You've got stances to switch, timing to master, and every fight can turn ugly if you're not paying attention. Boss battles hit hard, both literally and emotionally. They're designed to punish mistakes, but also reward patience and smart play like few games can. Nioh also introduces a mechanic called the key pulse, and it changes everything. After each attack, you've got a short window to time a button press and recover stamina instantly. Nioh also gives you a crazy amount of freedom when it comes to upgrading your build. Every weapon type has its own skill tree, and leveling up different stats lets you lean into whatever playstyle fits you best. Heavy armor and axes, nimble katanas, magic, ninjutsu, you name it. On top of that, you can break down gear, reforge weapons, and even transfer special effects between items. Visually, the world is soaked in atmosphere. Broken shrines, foggy forests, and cursed battlegrounds make every step feel heavy and meaningful. With a mix of real history and twisted folklore, Nioh is an intense, relentless test of skill that pulls you deep and doesn't let go. Way of the Samurai might not be a household name, but it did something most action games didn't dare to try back in the PlayStation 2 days. It gave you real freedom, no hand-holding, no clear good or bad guys. You're a lone swordsman, tossed into a crumbling town where everyone's fighting for control, and every decision you make shifts the story in a new direction. Instead of sticking you on a fixed path, the game lets you shape your own journey. Join one faction, betray another, or just walk away from the chaos, it all matters. Your choices actually lead to completely different endings, making every playthrough feel fresh. Another cool detail? The game actually runs on a real-time clock. Events in the town happen whether you're there or not. If you waste too much time wandering around, key moments can slip by without you even knowing. That gives every decision even more weight, since the world doesn't wait for you to act. The combat might seem a bit dated now, but back then, it was bold. Each weapon had its own feel. Timing your blocks and attacks took real skill, and duels had a raw intensity that made them hit harder than most hack-and-slash games. You could even unlock new sword styles based on how you played. Even today, Way of the Samurai, stands out as one of the most unique and underrated games for anyone who loves samurai stories and player-driven narratives. In the middle of a fractured and unpredictable era, Rise of the Ronin throws you straight into the fire. It's a brutal personal dive into a Japan being torn apart by revolution. You play as a Ronin with no master, no orders, just a world of chaos and a blade that answers to no one but you. There's no black and white in this story. Everyone thinks they're doing the right thing. The rebels, the shogunate, the foreign forces stepping in. You're caught in the middle, and every choice you make matters. Who you side with, who you betray, who lives, and who dies, it's all in your hands. What makes this game hit different is how it blends real history with tight, skill-based combat. One minute you're clashing swords in a deadly duel, the next you're knee-deep in political drama that could shift the balance of power. It's not about playing a role, it's about defining one. On top of all that, the game gives you a level of freedom that's rare in action RPGs. You're not locked into just swordplay. You can pull out rifles, pistols, and even glide across rooftops with a glider that feels straight out of an old-school war movie. It's this mix of traditional sword combat and emerging technology that really sells the feeling of a world in transition. One moment you're dueling with a katana. The next you're sniping enemies from a rooftop or setting traps like you're in a guerrilla war. There's also a solid upgrade system that lets you shape your playstyle without overcomplicating things. As you progress, you earn points to improve your combat skills, ranged attacks, stealth abilities, and even social influence. The world's massive, detailed, and constantly throwing you into situations where no decision feels easy. Trek to Yomi isn't your typical samurai slasher. This game leans hard into the old-school Japanese cinema vibe, rocking a moody black and white style that feels straight out of a vintage film reel. But it's not just about looks. The entire experience is built around atmosphere, emotion, and raw tension. You move through a world that's both beautiful and broken, following the story of a young warrior caught between duty and death. Every fight is fast, precise, and brutal, like you're part of a silent movie duel where one wrong move means it's over. The side-scrolling format actually works in its favor, keeping the action tight while letting the visuals steal the show. The plot follows Hiroki, a young swordsman who swore to protect his village and honor the dying wish of his master. But after tragedy strikes, he's forced to walk a path that blurs the line between life and death. The game takes some dark turns, throwing him into a supernatural realm where he faces not just physical enemies, but the weight of his past and the consequences of his choices. It's a revenge tale on the surface, but underneath it's a deeper story about sacrifice, redemption, and finding peace when everything feels lost. The sound design also deserves some serious credit. From the clash of steel to the distant rumble of thunder, every audio cue pulls you deeper into the story. The voice acting, delivered entirely in Japanese, adds another layer of authenticity. Combined with the minimal UI and cinematic camera angles, it makes the whole game feel more like you're watching a lost classic than just playing through another indie title. But what makes Trek to Yomi stand out? It's the way it blends traditional folklore with real historical pain. You'll battle enemies that feel ripped from legend, wander through ruined villages, and face choices that carry real weight. It's short, sure, but it hits hard. And for fans of samurai stories done with style and substance, this one's absolutely worth experiencing. The early 2000s were packed with bold ideas, but few were as wild or as brilliant as mixing samurais with survival horror. That's exactly what happened with Onimusha. You're not just swinging a sword in ancient Japan. You're cutting down demons, unlocking mystical powers, and diving headfirst into a world that feels like Resident Evil met a ghost-filled samurai movie. Onimusha warlords didn't play it safe. The combat hits fast, but you still need to think. Every swing, every dodge, every soul you absorb from a fallen enemy adds to your strength. It's brutal, it's stylish, and it gave players something totally different at the time. No health bars on the screen, no over-the-top combos, just raw, blade-to-bone action with a supernatural twist. The upgrade system was also a big part of what made the game feel so rewarding. You didn't just level up automatically, you had to collect different colored souls from fallen enemies. Red for power, blue for magic, and yellow for health. Then you'd channel those into your weapons and gear at save points, slowly unlocking new abilities, stronger attacks, and elemental powers. The world itself is thick with atmosphere. Dark castles, cursed villages, and eerie temples all draped in silence until something lunges at you. The soundtrack creeps in at just the right moment, pushing the tension through the roof. It's not about cheap scares. It's about keeping you alert, never knowing what's around the next corner. When the remaster dropped in 2019, it gave the game a second life. Cleaner visuals, tighter controls, but the same gritty charm that made the original a classic. Whether you played it back on PlayStation 2 or you're jumping in for the first time now, Onimusha still slaps. Quick pause. If you're enjoying the video, hit that like button, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Seriously, it helps a ton and keeps this channel going. Thanks for being here. Stealth games usually ask you to stay hidden. Origami flips that idea and turns the shadows into your greatest weapon. You're not just sneaking around, you're bending darkness to your will. And yeah, the samurai are the enemies here, alright? In this game, you play as a spirit assassin brought back from the dead, dropped into a world of heavily guarded fortresses, twisted legends, and supernatural tension. What makes Origami stand out is how it lets you move. You're not crawling through grass or waiting behind boxes. You're blinking from one shadow to the next in seconds, warping across rooftops, slipping through patrols, and vanishing before anyone knows what hit them. That teleportability isn't just flashy, it's the core of how you survive, attack, and explore. One of the coolest things about Origami is how your powers are directly tied to the environment. If you're not in the shadows, your abilities don't recharge. That simple detail forces you to think like a shadow, always planning your next move around light sources, enemy patrols, and the architecture of each level. Each mission drops you into a new map with tons of creative paths. You can stick to the rooftops, sneak through underground tunnels, or use distractions to draw guards away. And when things get intense, you've got tools to fight back or vanish. The upgrade system in Origami keeps things simple but smart. As you progress, you earn shadow essence that can be spent to unlock new powers or boost the ones you already have. You can focus on stealth tools like decoys and traps, or go all in on aggressive abilities that let you wipe out enemies fast. It's not a huge skill tree, but it gives you just enough freedom to shape your playstyle, whether you're going full ghost or silent executioner. Between missions, there's a safe hub where you unlock upgrades and dive deeper into the story. The game's narrative slowly unfolds through quiet conversations and flashbacks, giving more weight to your silent kills. And if you've got a friend, the co-op mode is where Origami really shines. Coordinated takedowns, tag team escapes, and pure stealth chaos. Katana Zero isn't your average samurai game, but don't let that fool you. It nails the feeling of being a deadly swordmaster dropped into a wild, futuristic nightmare. Set in a gritty, cyberpunk city soaked in neon and blood, the game moves fast. One wrong move and you're dead. But when you get it right, it's pure poetry in motion. The combat is sharp, fast, and unforgiving. You're not just slicing through enemies, you're dancing between bullets, flipping over obstacles, and slowing down time like some kind of digital assassin. Every level is a puzzle wrapped in chaos, and it rewards you for being smart, stylish, and brutally efficient. What's also interesting is how the game handles progression. You don't upgrade through menus or gear. Instead, your growth happens through pure skill. The more you play, the better and faster you react. That rhythm of learning enemy patterns, perfecting your approach, and pulling off clean runs becomes the real upgrade. But Katana Zero isn't just about killing with flair. The story goes deep. You're dealing with memory loss, government experiments, and a main character who's clearly hanging by a thread. Conversations twist the plot in unexpected ways, and there's this constant tension between what's real and what's part of the drug-fueled haze your character is stuck in. One moment you're piecing together clues about your past, and the next, the game pulls the rug out and shows you something completely unhinged. It builds this atmosphere where nothing feels safe or predictable, and that psychological edge keeps you hooked from start to finish. Add in some of the slickest pixel animation out there, a killer synth-heavy soundtrack, and a mood that hits like a late-night action flick, and you've got a game that stays in your head long after it's over. Sekiro throws you straight into a world where hesitation means death. You play as Wolf, a warrior stripped of honor, loyalty, and even an arm. What he gets in return is a second chance, armed with a prosthetic that turns into deadly tools, and a fighting style that's all about timing, aggression, and control. This game doesn't care about builds or grinding levels. There's no hiding behind magic or heavy armor. It's just you, your blade, and enemies that won't go down without a fight. Progression in Sekiro works a little differently from your typical action RPG. Instead of dumping points into stats, you earn skill points and prayer beads through actual combat. Killing enemies and exploring the world nets you materials and upgrades, but you've got to earn every inch. Unlocking new moves like spinning slashes or improved deflections feels like adding new layers to your own muscle memory. And upgrading your prosthetic tools takes more than just currency. You need the right gear, hidden in tough spots or guarded by brutal mini-bosses. Nothing comes easy, but that's what makes every improvement feel legit. Each duel feels personal. Every boss teaches you something, usually the hard way. You're not just slicing through health bars, you're breaking posture, reading movements, and looking for that one opening to strike. The world itself is hauntingly beautiful. From burning castles to silent temples buried in snow, Sekiro nails the vibe of a broken Japan, torn by war and crawling with corrupted beasts. It borrows the stealth of Tenchu, but makes combat the main event, throwing you into intense, unforgettable encounters. And when you finally beat that one boss who's been kicking your ass for hours, there's nothing like it. Bushido Blade didn't play by anyone's rules. While other fighting games were busy with flashy combos and glowing health bars, this one came out swinging with something raw, grounded, and way more intense. One clean strike to the head or torso and it was over. That's it. No rematch, no second chance. Just pure, unforgiving swordplay. What a lot of people forget is that Bushido Blade also had this honor system baked right into the gameplay. Before each duel, both fighters would bow. A quiet, simple moment that set the tone. If you attacked before your opponent finished bowing, the game treated it like a dishonorable move. You could still win the fight, sure, but the game would label your victory as shameful, even locking you out of certain endings or story paths if you kept fighting dirty. It was made by Squaresoft back before the Enix days, and it felt more like a samurai duel than a game. You had to fight smart, stay calm, and pick your moment. You could take out someone's leg and watch them limp through the rest of the match, or slice an arm and knock their weapon out of commission. And the environments? They weren't locked to a small ring. You could move around freely, taking the fight through courtyards, forests, even up castle steps. It gave the game a sense of scale and freedom that other fighters just didn't have at the time. The second game, Bushido Blade 2, added more characters and refined the combat without losing that brutal realism. It never became a huge hit, But for fans of samurai culture or tactical sword fighting, it's still one of the most unforgettable titles out there. Set during the chaotic era of the Edo period, Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun throws you into a deadly game of stealth and precision. You're not just controlling one hero, you're leading a whole crew of killers, each with their own specialty. A silent shinobi who strikes from the shadows, a loyal samurai who holds the line, a monk who can distract or destroy, a sniper with deadly aim, a thief who moves like a whisper, and a master of disguise who can slip past any guard unnoticed. The game isn't about button mashing or running into fights, it's about outsmarting the enemy. Every mission feels like a puzzle, and you've got to use brains over brawn. One wrong step, you're done. So it rewards patience, timing, and planning, down to the second. The story keeps things grounded but pulls you in quick. You're working under the new shogun, trying to bring stability to a fractured Japan filled with rebellion and betrayal. Each mission isn't just a stealth challenge. It's part of a bigger political game that unfolds as you meet new allies, uncover hidden plots, and take down powerful enemies. As you progress, the game slowly adds upgrades that give each character new tricks to play with. These aren't overpowered moves that break the game, they're smart additions that open up new strategies. Like giving the shinobi a way to lure enemies silently, or letting the thief use traps in more creative ways. It's subtle, but it keeps the gameplay evolving without ever losing that core focus on stealth. What really makes it special is how each character fits into the team. You're constantly switching between them, creating the perfect setup for ambushes, distractions, and clean getaways. There's a deep sense of satisfaction when you pull off a flawless operation without anyone sounding the alarm. The gameplay is tight, the challenge is real, and the vibe is straight up tense from start to finish. If you're into smart, methodical action, this one's a gem.
Still be here. If you find anyone, show no mercy. Search everywhere. We must search the area. Everyone. I will take care of you.
Damn. Have to hide.
Back on the original PlayStation, few games nailed that true ninja fantasy like Tenchu did. It wasn't about charging into battle or racking up body counts. It was about staying quiet, staying hidden, and striking only when it counted. And yeah, the enemies here are samurai too. You played as a silent assassin moving through dark rooftops and moonlit temples, picking off targets without ever being seen. Stealth Assassin, the first game in the series, felt way ahead of its time. You had to actually pay attention to guard patterns, watch your step, and use every shadow like it was your best friend. Each mission gave you a goal, but how you pulled it off was up to you. It rewarded smart choices and punished you for being careless. The sequel kept the same energy but cleaned up the controls and added even more depth. It didn't hold your hand, and that was the point. You had to think like a ninja to play like one. It felt intense, like you were really risking everything with every move. What made Tenchu special was how grounded it was. No flashy powers or over-the-top explosions, just pure stealth. You had to know when to hide, when to move, and when to make your kill. It also had one of the coolest mechanics at the time, the stealth kill system. If you timed everything right and got close without being spotted, you'd trigger brutal cinematic takedowns that felt insanely satisfying. On top of that, the game let you unlock new gear and tools between missions, depending on how well you performed. If you stayed undetected and landed clean kills, you'd earn a better rank. And with that came access to things like smoke bombs, grappling hooks, shurikens, and poison rice. Even today, you can see Tenchu's DNA in games like Sekiro. That quiet tension, that weight behind every decision, it all started here.
My money.
Samurai Warriors 4 is all about chaos, speed, and non-stop action. It's that kind of game where you dive into the battlefield and just start wrecking everything in sight. Launched to celebrate 10 years of the franchise, it came in swinging with sharper mechanics, cleaner visuals, and way more polish than the older entries. You've got dozens of enemies swarming you at once, but that's where the fun kicks in. The combat is smooth, aggressive, and lets you chain wild combos while switching characters on the fly. Special moves hit hard and look insane, adding that extra punch to every encounter. What really adds to the replay value is the character roster. You've got over 50 playable warriors, each with their own unique weapons, storylines, and over-the-top movesets. Some focus on raw power, others on speed or crowd control, and mastering each one actually feels different. The game also lets you customize your character's skills and weapons, so there's always something new to mess around with, whether you're chasing high combos or just trying to clear maps faster. And when it comes to upgrades, there's a lot to play with. You can level up each warrior individually, boost their stats, and even forge or enhance weapons to make them hit harder or add special effects. There's also a skill tree system that lets you unlock new abilities and passive boosts, so over time, your fighters feel way more powerful and customized to your playstyle. The whole thing is loosely based on real battles from Japan's Sengoku era, so it's got that historical flavor, but it's more about the spectacle than accuracy. The PS4 version especially shines with upgraded graphics and performance, turning the battlefield into a visual overload of sparks, slashes, and explosions. If you're into hack-and-slash games where the goal is pure domination, Samurai Warriors 4 doesn't hold back. It's fast, stylish, and packed with content. Ghost of Tsushima throws you straight into the chaos of war-torn Japan, and it never lets go. You play as Jin Sakai, a samurai forced to rethink everything he was taught. The Mongols aren't just winning, they're tearing his world apart. So instead of sticking to tradition, Jin creates something new. He becomes the Ghost. The game blends cinematic beauty with raw emotion. You'll ride through fields set on fire by war, stumble across foxes leading you to ancient shrines, and find moments of peace in a world collapsing around you. It's not just visually stunning, it's emotionally heavy in the best way. Another thing that makes Ghost of Tsushima stand out is how it uses the wind. Instead of cluttering the screen with waypoints or markers, the game literally lets the wind guide you. You swipe the touchpad and a gust points you in the right direction, blending gameplay with immersion in a way that feels natural and poetic. The combat hits hard. Slicing through enemies with precision feels amazing, but what really makes it shine is the balance between brutal swordplay and silent stealth. Whether you're facing 5 enemies in a standoff or sneaking through a Mongol camp under moonlight, every move matters. The upgrade system in Ghost of Tsushima goes way beyond just buffing numbers. As you explore the island, you're picking up supplies, predator hides, iron, bamboo, waxwood, and a bunch of other resources that all feed into improving your gear. Your armor isn't just cosmetic. Each set comes with specific bonuses like boosting stealth, increasing damage, or reducing the resolve cost for healing and special moves. You can fully upgrade each one at the armorer, and by the end of the game, the difference in how you play is massive. On top of that, you unlock new stances by defeating enemy leaders, which lets you switch your combat style on the fly depending on the enemy type. This isn't just another action game. It's a powerful journey about sacrifice, identity, and what it really means to protect something you love. Ninja Gaiden isn't here to hold your hand. It throws you straight into the chaos with razor-sharp combat and zero room for mistakes. You play as Ryu Hayabusa, a warrior so deadly he doesn't need to sneak. He just cuts straight through the problem. And look, I'm not even going to try to justify this one on the list. Yeah, there are some samurai enemies, but Ninja Gaiden is here because I straight up love this series and you need to know about it. The gameplay is fast, aggressive, and demands total focus. It's not just about button mashing. You need to learn enemy patterns, react in split seconds, and chain attacks like a pro if you want to survive. One wrong move, and it's over. But that's exactly what makes it so satisfying. Every kill feels earned. Every boss fight is a real battle of endurance, and when you finally win, it hits different. What a lot of people forget is how fluid the level design was. You weren't just moving from one arena to the next. You were climbing walls, flipping off ledges, and chaining attacks mid-air like an absolute beast. The mobility in Ninja Gaiden felt way ahead of its time, blending parkour with combat so seamlessly that it became part of your strategy. And as you progress, you can level up your weapons, turning already deadly blades into absolute wrecking machines. It's not just about raw damage either. Upgraded weapons get new combos and moves that completely change how you approach fights. The series got even more attention when the Master Collection dropped in 2021. It brought back the original trilogy with updated visuals and smoother performance. The first two games are still considered some of the best action games ever made. The third one stirred up some debate, sure, but it's still packed with brutal combat and a good amount of challenge for anyone hungry for more. But now it's your turn. Which of these samurai games hit you the hardest? Did we miss one that deserves a spot? Drop your picks in the comments, leave a like if you enjoyed the ride, and don't forget to subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.